Welcome to today's video where I will be doing my reading journal setup for September. Wow, I have not done a journal setup for a while now. I don't know what to do. It is still early September, so this setup is not super late. I am excited to get back into making my reading journal setup, so let's begin. The cover page is for knowing that a new month begins, and that's why I use it. I like it because this is the only page in the setup where my theme for the month can be best seen. The main focus is on the theme. Also, I had sketched this out for June and got too busy to make the setup for June. So when I opened my journal this month thinking I had to sketch something out to find out that I had already done it was a positive. Rather than erase this completely and come up with another theme from scratch, I just used puzzles, jigsaw pieces theme. And so I just changed the month to September and kept it. I think it worked pretty well. I have gotten back into the habit of going to libraries, and most of the time I go there without a plan. I just go with my library card and go through the shelves and pick up random books that seem interesting to me or that I remember I wanted to read. So I'm just going with memory and hopefulness that I'll find books that I like. This is not the best method when you have limited time, so I have the library list for that. Just write down any book that I am interested about here. I can also look at the online database of the library that I'm going to and write down where I can find the section that the book is going to be in so that I'm even more efficient with my time. Just ignore the headers in the table. This is a list of books I wanted to look for in a library. So all the headers in the table, just ignore that because I messed up. Next is September books. I wrote down June because I forgot to change the month for this. Ignore that. It is September books. I was basically going on auto mode for this setup, just following what I sketched out and hoping everything stayed together. I cannot believe I didn't notice the month was wrong. I can fix that later, so not a problem. This is for writing down the books I finished this month, a place for an overview of the books I read with my rating on each of them. Just basically a quick look of all the books I've read this month. That's easy to look at and easy to find. notes. This is for writing down quotes, again, any dialogue or text in a book I read this month. This can be as simple as something I found so well written or inspirational to something that I found was so strange or hilarious. Sometimes I also use this to explain my thoughts on what I wrote down. Basically, I wrote down this quote here, my thought process and all that. Reading tracker. I don't know if I should change the name for this, but I use this to track all the books I have read this month. This includes books that I start and end up not reading, as well as books that I don't finish by the end of this month. Wanting to continue the puzzle theme, I did use these scissors I have here that have like dents and they look kind of like a puzzle when you do them. So I just used these scissors for this, and they're kind of tricky to use because they have like styles on them. And I might start using more decorative scissors in the future rather than just straight ones. I have a calendar to track all the books I have read this month. This includes books that I start and end up not reading, as well as books that I don't finish by the end of the month. I have a calendar to track what days I read a specific book and how much. It is interesting to see this get filled in. I can have a week where I read a lot and then 2 weeks with 0 books opened or read. Then on the other pages, I have the table that I have all the information on each of the books I started. I like to have a place to write down my rating of the book, as well as when I started it, finished it, and the genre of the books. I tend to have 2 pages for this, and most of the time I do not read that many books to require 2 pages, but I love having a page cut out and looking like a mini book, so I keep doing this. I like to flip between the 2, and it's just so fun to flip between the 2, which doesn't make sense because I'm flipping through the pages in the journal already, but I like having mini pages within it that I can just flip between. I don't know why, but I just find it very satisfactory. I might find some other reason to have the second page rather than as an additional table, just so I can continue having the mini book thing, I call it. I need to think about that for next month. Maybe I'll have a solution. It's good to manage my book stats for the month, which is why I use Overview. It's where I have pie charts to track specific things like what ratings I gave this month or what format was popular this month for me. I also have boxes for total hours in audiobooks this month, how many pages read in total, how many books in total for this month. I like filling up these circles at the end of the month and seeing what I prefer or don't prefer. Also in the middle is my most liked books and my least liked books. It's just basically an overview in terms of statistics for the month. I might change it to book stats or something for the month actually, because it seems to make more sense. I'm not sure about the title actually. Reading notes, where I write down any notes that I have for a book. This could be something that I want to look back at, so I write down the page number, or trying to process my feelings on a certain book I read, or write down names of characters in a book because I tend to forget them, or whatever I found interesting or shocking in a book that I have to write down my initial thoughts on. Theories on how the book is going to go, or things to remember so I can tell someone else what happened in the book I read, especially if it's like so strange that I just have to verbalize it to someone else. These pages can be anything, which is why I have 2 pages for this, but if I end up using the space, I can always continue on the pages after this. So it's just starting with 2 pages, but this can go as far as 6 pages. I've had that before because I just had so many thoughts on all the books I read, and it was just like, what is happening? So it doesn't have any limit or anything, and I love using it. It is so funny to look back at the last month and see how frustrated or confused or whatever I was feeling by a situation in a book at the time, and how I'm not affected by it this month, and I'm kind of like, what happened last month? Why? It's basically a reaction at the moment of what I'm feeling towards a book or my thoughts at the moment, and it's so fascinating to see at the end of the month or later on. Thank you for joining me in making my reading journal sub for this month. I messed up a bit, but it was fun to do this theme. Thanks again, and until the next video, bye!